Hi there, Patrick Bryan here from the International Academy of Dermaplaning and J.M. Bryan Beauty Training. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about dermaplaning and hair regrowth. This is a subject that you will be asked the vast majority of questions about. Is it not going to make my hair grow back thicker, darker, beardier, warier, any of the above? And it's also a subject that stops a lot of therapists wanting to do the treatment. Actually, quite often, if people believe that they're going to make women grow whiskers, they're obviously a little bit unwilling to do the course at all. So what we're going to do to talk today is really to try and dispel that myth that shaving vellus hair will make it grow back as thicker, darker terminal hair. Now, it's very easy, from my point of view, knowing all the facts, to see why that popular misconception came about. If you think back to, I suppose, the age when most young boys start to grow facial hair, or young girls, maybe hair under their arms or hair on their legs, you get 1 or 2, 3 darker terminal hairs and you start shaving to get rid of them. You know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you suddenly realise that rather than 2 or 3 hairs, there's 200 or 300 hairs, and it's very easy to assume that that's down to the actual shaving. Now, what people don't realise is that when they saw those 2 or 3 original terminal hairs, that was the start of a hormonal process, puberty, and whether they shaved that hair, waxed it, lasered it, did absolutely nothing with it, the result would have been the same. That there would have been a big increase in the amount of terminal hair there. So what we can say to clients if they're concerned about hair regrowth after dermaplaning treatment is that it is perfectly safe. Nothing we're doing in this treatment can physically change the nature of the hair that's already on their face. Vellus hair is vellus hair is vellus hair. It's structured differently from terminal hair. It doesn't have the medulla, which is the central part of the terminal hair, which gives it its strength and rigidity. Also, the follicle doesn't have as much of a blood supply. So it is actually structured differently. The only thing, as I mentioned briefly before, that will make or promote the growth of terminal hair on a woman's face is hormonal changes. So you have age-related, obviously as women coming up towards the menopause, the hormonal levels start to change. You've got certain medical conditions. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is probably, unfortunately, the one we see most commonly. And you've got certain medications as well, which can, at least in the short term, upset the hormonal balance and might just promote the growth of the old whisker just while the new balance is settling down. Nothing we're doing in the dermaplaning treatment is working at anything near a hormonal level in the body. It is a very superficial treatment we're doing. The only difference we're going to make to each of those individual hairs is because we are shaving those hairs off. I always hesitate before using that word in a beauty environment. Because we are shaving the hairs off, it's going to grow back with a blunt end rather than the natural tapered end that hairs grow with. I think it's been proved over the years we've been doing this treatment, the vast majority of people who have this treatment, that hair is so fine, so downy, that to look at, to touch, you couldn't possibly tell what shape the end of the hair was. So for most people, you have no worries whatsoever I have no worries about taking that vellus hair off. However, there's always a however or a but, isn't there? In certain cases, you don't see it very often, but in certain cases, you do get vellus hair which is either slightly thicker or slightly darker, or a combination of the both actually. So if you've got someone comes in and you're looking at the hair and you can see that the end of the shaft where it comes out of the skin is slightly thicker than the normal vellus hair, or if the hair is dark, or if both of those apply, I would talk to the client about removing that hair by a different method before you did the dermaplaning treatment. Waxing, threading, obviously they're the quickest, easiest methods. More long-term IPL laser treatments, things like that, are going to have a much more permanent result. That way you can do the dermaplaning treatment. They're going to get all the skin benefits of the treatment, but because the hair isn't there and because it's been removed by the root with the waxing or the threading, when it grows back, it's going to have the natural tapered end on it, so there's going to be no chance of any disappointment. Although we wouldn't change the nature of that hair, because it's going to grow back with a blunt end, we can change the appearance of it, and we have to recognise that that's going to happen, or could happen, in a small percentage of people. It is a tiny percentage. So anyone who's coming in maybe with darker, more obvious vellus hair on it's particularly in the sideboard areas here, sometimes you do find it on the top lip as well, along the lip line. We're going to talk to them about removing that by a different method. Mostly you don't see it very often, because women who have darker, more obvious vellus hair are already getting it removed by threading or waxing. But if they aren't, and they come in, have that conversation with them. It is possible, if the skin isn't reactive to the hair removal, to go straight ahead and do the dermaplaning treatment. For most people, I would probably leave it a minimum of 48 hours afterwards, just to let any irritation or potential irritation or reaction to the hair removal die down before you do the treatment. It's just a simpler way of doing things to protect yourself. Obviously, as you do more and more of these treatments, you will become far more confident in taking that hair off. So anytime when you are still in that, I suppose, that learning phase, and you're not sure of how the hair is going to come back through, for your peace of mind, for the client's peace of mind, just recommend waxing or threading. As I said, it's not something you see very often, but it's always best to take precautions. From our point of view, dermaplaning is a very safe treatment. You know, we've done, my wife and I, over the last 6 years that we've been developing this routine that we now teach, did into the thousands of treatments. You know, our students, we've taught hundreds and hundreds of therapists over the last 2.5 years, have gone on. I mean, I would imagine in total we are somewhere, a guesstimate, somewhere between 35 and 40,000 treatments. You know, so I think that's a fairly huge representative sample if we're doing any sort of market research on the fact that it doesn't make any difference to the way the hair grows back. Any further questions on this, or any specific questions on this, I'm always happy to answer. So if you would like to get in touch, somewhere around where you're watching this video now, there will be a contact button or an email address or a phone number. So please drop me a line or give me a ring, and we can talk about any specific concerns you have. But as I say, you can really reassure your clients that this isn't going to make any difference to the nature of the hair that is already on the face. Okay, see you in the next video. The next one that's scheduled is going to be about the other frequently asked questions. This is obviously the most commonly asked question, and the topic that clients and therapists perhaps worry about most, which is why I've done it as a separate little video in its own right. But the next one is going to be the other questions that people will commonly ask you about this treatment. Okay, see you soon. Bye.